Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Classic Reddit. Today's Ask Reddit question is by Jazzy Jackamus. Swingers of Reddit, what is it like being a swinger? How do you handle other people sleeping with your significant other? Whoa, epically long post. Oh, okay. So, being the problem solver that I am, I decided that opening up the relationship would be a swell idea. I mean, who the wouldn't? You get to have with the other woman. She gets to see if this is what she wants, and if this is what she wants, then everything's great. If it's not, that's fine. I don't need anyone else for my relationship to be fulfilling, and we'll just chalk it up to experience. Okay, cool. We set some ground rules. 1 date a week. No sex without the other partner knowing what's going on. We talk it over. We have priority for each other. So if there's a conflict in timing, the significant other gets priority. Simple enough. Talked over it for about a day. Made some OkCupid accounts and got to it. Since it had been about 4 years since I'd even ever tried to date someone, and being a guy on OkCupid, it's kind of like trying to find fish in the Sahara Desert. She ended up going on a date every week and having sex with them every week. This went on for about 2 months. In that time, I went on 2 dates with people I didn't really click. I just went on for the sake of it at that point. The combination of the two punched my self-esteem to dust. The impossibility of me being able to get a date, and the thought of me being so replaceable. She was having doubts, had mentioned probably breaking it off during our test run of the open relationship. Yeah, I was jealous. We tried to talk it over, didn't help that much. We ended up stopping with the whole open relationship. She figured out just she didn't want to be with anyone else. I had thoughts of proposing to her before this whole thing, but now not so much. Reading your post, I can understand your feelings of the hit to your self-esteem. I relate because in the swinging lifestyle, everyone is about my significant other and I tend to feel like the plus one a lot. In your situation, I think that you're looking at it totally wrong. You gave her the go-ahead to test her feelings and see what she really wanted. She went through with the experiment and ended up choosing you. Most people who practice monogamy sometimes have a stuck-with-them feeling because of their situation. You have the exact opposite, sir. You dared her to find someone better, and she couldn't. Toast to your success. You need to deal with this sooner rather than later. The only way to be over it is to bring this to the front and face it. It might save and strengthen your relationship, or it might end it. Either way, you'll be better off. If you don't deal with this and you stay with a girl, it will eat at you for years and it will damage the relationship and your own emotional health. My girlfriend had a competition to see who can pick up more girls. She had 2 in her arms and I was still stumbling around. I don't mean to be offensive, but don't you worry about catching STDs, and do you two have more sex with other people than each other? Just curious. Oh, no response. Is there a limit to how often you can have sex with other people? Like, obviously, I think it would be easier for an attractive female to have more partners than even an attractive male would. Seems like if I was able to handle swinging with a partner, I might end up caring that she's doing so many other people than me. Same thing here. We have rules that need to be followed. Safety is always key, both sex safety and MDK safety. We trust each other, but if one of us does not like the other's partner, we can veto it. Doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Good for you, as long as you are happy. As long as you both have the right type of personality. This must be the main deal. People with my personality, probably not, and it would work very differently. Most likely, she would be having sex, and I would have alone time to play my video games. You want to grind on another guy's dick tonight? It's okay. I'm too busy grinding levels tonight anyway. ITT, everybody, is a non-jealous angel, while I'm an insecure, jealous asshole. Oh, epic post. It's too big for me to read. My fiance recently brought it up to me, and I'd never considered it before due to my very high sex drive. I love the intimacy of sex. I love how it feels, though I'm a little ashamed of how high my sex drive is. She, on the other hand, has a fairly low sex drive. It wasn't a problem, really, but on the other hand, the option to seek out others is a definite plus. So a few months later, we met another lady, and my totally straight fiancé was totally gay for her. Here I am, a guy with two ladies, my fiance and our girlfriend, feeling on top of the world. Didn't think I had the jealousy aspect at all. Fiance dated another guy for a short time, and I wasn't really bothered. I felt secure. I knew she'd be coming back to me. It was exactly how I thought it would be. She was happy, I was happy. But then our girlfriend started dating another, and somehow this bothered me. I guess it was because I wasn't feeling as secure with that relationship. I hadn't known her well enough. It was an issue and I became a little depressed for a few days. Eventually, I worked it out by communicating. This is the key to any relationship. Girlfriend told me that it was awesome and she was with the other guy more because of new relationship energy. And sure enough, after a few weeks, things were back to normal. Now our group is, I'm dating girlfriend and fiance, girlfriend is dating me and another guy, and fiance just started dating another two guys. And everyone is happy because we talk. It's important for monogamous relationships and more important for someone who has multiple partners. I don't think either setup, poly or monogamy or anything in between, is better. What matters is what's best for you and your partners. Communication ensures no one gets hurt, feels left out, etc. For us, we each have a strong emotional attachment to each of our partners, or are developing them. As long as everyone involved in any relationship, be it poly, swinging, monogamy, etc., is on the same page about everything, then usually no one gets hurt. I thought this was a thread about jazz musicians. I need to stop living in the 20s. Swing. Now I'm the king of the swingers, the jungle VIP. I've reached the top and had to stop, and that's what's bothering me. It helps if you find it a turn on to see your partner be with someone else. Just reading this thread is stressing me out a little bit. The thought of actually sleeping with someone else, or my significant other sleeping with someone else, is making my palms sweat. I'm not the type of person who could be in an open relationship, but props to those of you who can. It takes some tenacity and a lot of trust in your feelings for each other. And how much you can separate the emotional part of sex from the physical portion. I completely agree with you. That's because I can't imagine having sex with someone else. I want to be the only person my fiance thinks about when she gets excited, and I don't want to think about anyone else. It seems like all fun and games until you hear a moan behind you and see some sweaty dude thrusting away at your wife while she screams away in ecstasy. It's interesting to read stories, but I would pass in real life. Real love shouldn't make you feel trapped, nor it make you feel like you have to control someone else. Everyone is different, but in my experience, being so preoccupied with sex that thinking about my significant other with another person has made me panic has been a sign of a bad relationship. People who have been married for 50 years and have cheated on each other, sex is simply not as important as so many other things. Love. I assume you meant to post that in a thread about people who were flying on 9/11? I cannot stress enough how much drugs and alcohol, way more alcohol than street drugs, were the beginning and the end of so much of this. Basically, we started having lots and lots of late night skinny dipping parties that were fueled by booze, and we each had a few hookups that we later talked about at length. Then she became pretty promiscuous, and it was pretty openly word amongst my peers that if you came up and got drunk with her, you'd get some. Honestly, that didn't really even bother me. Things started to go south when me and I turned away from my friends and isolated, doing increasingly hard drugs along the way until I found myself shooting dope and coke with people that I would have been terrified of as a child. The only great sex I've had with anyone but my wife in the past 5 years was literally with crack whores. I got clean and tried to find a nice girlfriend, obviously with my wife's approval, faced rejection after rejection. While I know objectively that these rejections had a lot more to do with the fact that I wanted someone I could casually date, but the girls I was approaching wanted a husband that I couldn't be, it is still pretty painful to think about how many times I've heard, "You're a really nice guy, but..." She got involved with a guy who got sick. She has all but destroyed our relationship with one of the most extreme cases of alcoholism I've ever witnessed. I stopped drinking at the beginning of this year when she lost her job because I finally got the be a fucking man and take care of your family notion that I wish I had all along. I've had my slip-ups, but all in all, I know that my kids, 9 and 7, know that they can trust their dad to be there for them, regardless of if mom is in the hospital, in rehab, or passed out in the backyard. For her, the drinking escalated with the attachment to a person she thought would be dead in 3 months, that she couldn't help. At some point, she stopped talking to me about him, about any other guy friends, and just about anything at all. That's really interesting. My wife hasn't talked about that a little, but I think it would get really complicated. And I know I wouldn't be able to handle her falling in love with someone else. But hey, if it works for you, that's awesome. I've been in a relationship with a woman for 5 years, exclusive for 2 years, threesomes only for a year after that, and now we're fully open. We always knew that monogamy wasn't for us, but we wanted to establish who us was before we let other people in. It's been pretty awesome with way more ups than downs. The biggest down being a brief adjustment period. I myself can have a sexual relationship with someone and just be friends, literally friends with benefits. The woman I see now has been in my life on and off for 10 years. We chill, play video games, smoke, eat dinner, and have sex a few times a year. My girlfriend likes to wine and dine, court women, date, essentially. This was hard for me at first, as I thought we both would be doing more casual things. Now what I realize is that, like me, she can date them, sleep with them, even love them, and it changes nothing. I do love my friends with benefits, but that has no bearing on my fiancée and my relationship. I am her future wife, and she's mine. We chose each other to go through the ups and downs of life, and everyone else is secondary. Meaningful, but not life-changing. It's also important that we convey this fact to new women. We let them know they'll be treated well, they're allowed to have fun, enjoy this for as long as it lasts, but if they're looking for a traditional relationship, that isn't going to happen. This isn't a foot-out-the-door experiment. We're madly in love. A couple of women have had issue with they fall in love. They want to know what's next, as in house, kids, marriage. When they say the 3 words, but most appreciate are honestly. When we say nothing comes next. Some stick around, but most move on. Thus far, none have felt bad about any of it. I guess I should mention that I'm a female, and so is my partner. A work friend and her husband used to love being monogamous. She would always highly recommend it. They're getting divorced now because the husband fell in love with a woman from work. Damn. How do you handle your roommate eating a sandwich? Not very good if it's yours and your flatmate's food separately. But if you agreed on sharing all the food and made clear rules from day one about who buys and when and who gets to eat what, then you also get to eat someone else's sandwich if it happens to be there when you're hungry. Well, people are not sandwiches. But what I'm trying to say is it's about how you set the rules from the beginning and make sure you're on the same page. I don't think I've ever found a sandwich I'd like to spend the rest of my life, though. I did have a fish finger sandwich the other day that came close. We went into deciding to do group sex situations with a very solid understanding of what the other wants and needs and would like to try and experience. I had prior experience with such situations, which made it easier for him, I think. I proposed the idea because I'm of the belief that humans just are not monogamous creatures, and limiting one's sexuality is what usually leads to infidelity. We're totally and completely devoted to each other and do not put the incorporation of others into our sex life before the actual intimacy of our monogamous sex lives. What has proven to be absolutely crucial is being open about how we feel about everything. If either of us are even remotely uncertain or uncomfortable with anything, it gets voiced. We ask the same with the people we sleep with, and it works out very well. Alright everybody, if you want to make these kind of videos, where you read and react to what's in front of you on the screen and you get to pick the topics based on stuff you find that's interesting online, please reach out to us. This kind of content is ideal for people who want to get into making YouTube channels but struggle to meet the time requirements of really heavily edited content. You know, in that world where it takes 10 hours to make 30 minutes of content. In this world, you just record your screen reading in one session and then you're done. And we're developing tools to help automate as much of that as possible. But you need to understand that in order to monetize content on YouTube, you have to add human element to it. You can't have automated content. We can have automation of things you have to do as a YouTuber, but ultimately, who you are, your voice still has to shine through. That has to be part of it. Otherwise, you won't be able to monetize, and that sucks, right? So if you're interested in this, please reach out to us. Go to our About page, click on the contact info to get the email address, do the CAPTCHA code, and then say hello. We want to set up a Zoom call with you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.